The Bottom Shelf, Episode 3, Dune.
Are you ready to discover a world of terrible movies? High above the planet Geekery, three brave individuals with the help of other friends work through a list of terrible movies to discover one simple truth. Are they better than people think? Or do they really belong on the bottom shelf? Grab your popcorn, grab your favorite snack, and get ready to find out.
All right, everybody. Not entirely sure what just happened. We were in the theater watching the movie Q, and all of a sudden disappeared and Dallas disappeared, and at least one of my prayers was answered, and Glix disappeared. And I'm fine with both Q and Glix disappearing, but we need Dallas back. And there was a note about, in order to get Dallas and Glix back, we have to watch Dune.
You mean June?
No, I mean Dune.
Oh,
I know. It's hard to discern from your ancient Gaelic language.
No, because David Lynch, when he was supposed to make this movie, he thought it was supposed to be called June, until they gave him the screenplay. He's like, "Oh, Dune."
All right, I guess that's a thing.
Yeah.
So, I wish I could make contact with whoever left us that note, though, because I'd be like, well, what can we do to just get Dallas back?
So it's not mutiny,
but apparently, no.
Oh, I thought it was mutiny. Okay, I don't need these swords then.
Oh, okay, we're gonna have to unpack that later. At any rate, apparently their Dallas and Glix are a 2-for-1 deal. So I guess we're gonna have to watch Dune. Being as you are our tech boy, Kevin, why don't you let us know? Do you have any bits and bobs of info outside of the June?
Sure. First, tech man. I'm a man, not a boy. Get that correct? And
you're younger than me.
By what, a year or two?
We'll unpack this later. Anyway,
okay.
Go ahead.
Well, Dallas is probably getting a new taco machine, finally getting that thing fixed.
And the spices will flow.
Yeah, so much spice. So much spice that not even the Spice Girls could save the Spice World. This is directed...
Okay.
This movie, Dune, is a little over 2 hours, not that much longer like it was supposed to be. I guess it was supposed to be like 3.5 hours long, but whatever. It is directed by David Lynch, not, David Lynch from Eraserhead, who might erase your mind watching this movie. It is produced by Rafaela de Laurentiis, I guess the daughter of Dino de Laurentiis, who also produced films such as Cole the Conqueror, which I'm holding in my hand showing you. Just produced that one.
Yeah, because everybody at home can totally see
everybody
that
at home can see it. That's why I'm just saying it. And she also produced every Dragonheart movie that was made. The music was made by We're Not in Kansas Anymore, Toto.
I love me some Toto.
Okay, what? Wait, what? Oh, yeah, the musicians. Okay, I thought you were talking like you were having some grilled dog or something.
No, the band. Toe the Line, Africa.
Actually, that was another reason why David Lynch put this them onto this movie, because he loved Wizard of Oz because it's his favorite movie, and he's like, Toto, oh my gosh, this is like an angel coming down with a message for me. It's also that was a true thing. Starring David Lynch's sidekick Kyle MacLachlan. Anyways, Francisca Ennis, Sean Young, Patrick Stewart, the mostly mute in this movie, Sting, Brad Dourif, and many others. Okay, this movie is based on a nearly 1,000 pages.
Oh, Brad Dourif was in this movie.
Yes, he was.
Okay, so for those of you out in listener land who can't understand why I just got excited about Brad Dourif, I'm the resident horror geek of the Geek Devotions team. and Brad Dourif was the voice of Chucky.
Mm-hmm.
And
In
I kept
every
looking
Chucky
at
film.
and I kept looking at that guy going, I know him from somewhere, but I can't place him. And then all of a sudden you said Brad Dourif, and I'm like, bing, light bulb. But we haven't seen the movie yet.
Yeah, we did not know that. So whatever.
No.
I'm just reading off this letters that's on this tape onto this box right here. It is based on a nearly 1,000-page novel by Frank Herbert back in 1965. Wow, it was a freaking long novel. I still never finished it. I only read like chapter 5 and then I started getting lost. The budget was made with $42 million, but the box office was $37 million, approximately. That's yep. I guess there would never ever be a sequel, and no one would ever think about making another Dune movie for the rest of history.
Nope.
It was listed as one of the worst and most disappointing films in 1984. Okay.
That's some aspiration. That's setting the bar high for us here.
Yeah, this is his third film he ever directed.
Okay.
So, I mean, sometimes people say it's because this is a different movie. I don't know.
The only movie I've ever seen by him was The Elephant Man. We watched that when I was in school, and so
really, how was that for you?
It was okay. I mean, it wasn't life-changing for me or anything, but I mean, it was a decent watch.
All right. Yeah, I watched Eraserhead. Well, mostly attempted to watch Eraserhead 3 different times, and I still can't make it half the way through the movie.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, nothing's more weird than watching a squirrel girl singing to a radiator. And yeah, it's weird. His meatloaf comes alive and he starts attacking him.
I've wanted to see the Twin Peaks TV show.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned right here earlier. I said David Lynch's sidekick Kyle MacLachlan, because he starred in every single. He's basically starred almost every movie David Lynch made.
Nice.
Yeah. So let's see how well he does in this movie.
All right. Well, do you have any expectations going into this movie before?
Since I've heard very mixture, like most people who have seen it and talked to me about it. I remember my dad watching this like 2 or 3 times, and I remember I just never got involved watching it because he loved Star Trek, because he thought it was the best sci-fi ever made in the history of world. So I just like, okay. I don't have really any expectations. I've heard other people when they talk to me about it. It's like, it's not understood, or that it should have been better, but it didn't, but it's the best we'll get. And I was like, okay. So the reviews I'm reading or have heard from movie reviewers, including Roger Ebert, he didn't like it. He just thought it was the worst thing he ever saw that year.
Well, going into it for me, I talked to my dad about it, and he basically said, yeah, it was a thing in the 80s. Some people got excited about it, just not my thing, which is pretty much my dad's way of saying meh.
Yeah.
And then I talked to podcast family, Ben Avery, and he enjoyed it quite a bit. But the most consistent things I've heard about this movie is, 1, it's long, and 2, it's dull.
Okay.
So
dull was the bigger part I've got. I didn't get so much the long from too many people, because I think people who's told me, it's like, it should have been longer. But dull was the actual, like, almost every single person I talked to had said the exact same thing. Dull. So I'm like, okay. So how many times am I going to fall asleep during this movie? I guess I'll find out.
Well, hopefully it's not as many times as Dallas fell asleep watching Plan 9 from Outer Space. All right. Let's go ahead and go into the theater and save Dallas, I guess.
Yes. These fools go into the theater not knowing what they walk into. They won't be able to finish this task. Glix and Dallas will be lost forever. But you, dear listener, this may be your opportunity to leave, because when they come out of that theater, who knows what horrors they have seen. Who knows what state of mind they'll have.
All right. I have thoughts. So now I know we've been kind of messing with the format a bit. Did we decide that we're doing our rating at the end of the spoiler section now? Just so I
That
can
is
make
correct.
sure that. All right. So you heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to hear our final grade on this, you'll have to skip to the end of the spoiler section if you don't want to hear anything about this movie. But this movie's been out for almost as long as I have, so
Yeah.
if you haven't seen it by now, you're like me, because I hadn't seen it until now. So
Yeah, this movie is what 37 years old as of right now.
and I'm 30 years old. So
thank you for nudging me a couple of times because I felt like I was falling asleep in there.
yeah, well, I wasn't so much nudging you as I was like leaning on your shoulder and falling asleep. So okay, so spoiler-free talk. How do we want to address this? I think everybody can gather that we picked up on the dullness of this movie.
Okay. Let me say without spoiling it. I'm not going. Crap! I just had something in my mind. It's like, nope, I'll be spoiling it. Pacing is a huge issue for this movie.
Yes,
pacing was definitely a huge point in this movie because it took so much time to get you to know what you're supposed to be watching and so forth. And finally, when you're starting to watch it, it speeds up and then it goes right back to being slow again. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't care about what is this person? Who's that? I don't care. They're not contributing enough into the story to make me want to care if these people was to live or die.
I would agree with that. I agree with the pacing being a huge issue, especially at the beginning. It took me a long minute to get into this movie or even care about any of the characters at all. But I think that is more of an issue with the fact, like you said, the source material was 1,000-page book.
Nearly 1,000 pages. I have the book. Like I said, I only read like chapter 5 and I just crashed.
So, which leads me to believe that the author is very verbose in the book.
Yes, in fact, in the theaters when they released this movie out in 1984, I have this little Dune terminology booklet. It says when Dune was released, there was some concern that moviegoers might need a little help or preparation to fully immerse themselves in the film's extraordinary worlds. So Universal Pictures provided a Dune terminology primer to hand out to every ticket being sold. So they had this little booklet that had all the planets' names, all the characters' names, and I'm like, that's not a good sign if you gotta give that to your moviegoers. Like, hey, prepare for this journey we're about to give you. You might not know what you're going to see, so we're going to help explain this to you. I'm like, oh no.
That sounds like me when I'm trying to introduce people into Dungeons and Dragons. It's like, dude, it's super easy, but you want to have these 3 books on hand just to make sure that you have all the rules available to you, so you know what options you have. It's just,
which is one of the reasons why I've never played Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, okay, yeah, you deserve that.
Shut up! Taking out my box.
That's called instant karma, sir. But what I will say is, watching this movie, it legitimately felt like it was designed. This movie was created specifically for people who already knew the story and already knew what was going on.
Yeah, because I guess when I watch Star Wars, I don't need to read a booklet. I don't need to read a book, a novel, or anything. It helped explain itself, at least the early Star Wars movies, the original ones. I don't need explanations. So just like Star Trek, I noticed that when I watched the Star Trek movies, I only watched only the first 3 Star Trek movies. I don't really need that much explanation to tell me what every character's function, what they are. It's like, oh, I got it first time.
And one of the key well, I'll save that for the spoiler section. It's not much of a spoiler, but it starts to go into specific things that happen in the movie. So we'll wait for that. Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Here's something I had. I'm not sure if you've caught on to this, but then again, it won't take very many people to catch on to this part, at least. It's heavy in its religious themes and allegories.
really, I didn't notice that
It's like it
seemed almost like
pounds you in the head.
okay, so this movie, the first feeling that I got in this movie, and it lasted for the entire movie, is this is the 10 Commandments in space. Like if this couldn't be any more 10 Commandments if they would have casted Charlton Heston to play Paul what's his face in the movie.
We'll just say Paul, but I think he changed his name twice in the movie at the like when you get towards the end. Yeah. So we just know him as Paul.
At the end, he was basically like Aragorn had 7 different names that he went by.
Oh, really?
No, I mean, I was being facetious.
No, I never watched Aragorn, so I don't know. Oh,
no, you talking about from
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, okay, that's different. Yeah. Okay, I thought you were talking about like that dragon book that the 14-year-old wrote.
Oh. Yeah. I got you. No, I'm talking Lord of the Rings and Viggo Mortensen.
Mm-hmm. It was heavy in religious themes and allegories and consistent talk about a Messiah from the very beginning. So that's like, even when you pick up the novel, it talks about it. So it's like, that's not really spoiler because it says that on everything you pick up, even a trailer.
Now, riddle me this: was the author of Dune, was he a Christian then? Was this intentional?
I wish I looked more into it, because you read the further novels he wrote is like Dune, the Messiah, Dune, the prophecy, Dune, something else, like biblical or some other religious theme. I'm like, I think this guy may have been a Catholic or religious or something, because it has. I touch a little bit of a Catholic theme to it, but at the same time, I touch a lot with the Judaism as well.
I picked up on the Judaism because, like I said, it felt very 10 Commandments to me. So much 10 Commandments.
So much green screen too.
Yeah. Can we say that the green screen effects in this movie did not age well?
No. I mean, at least it's not. I mean, I'm trying to decide what was worse: the green screen behind this, or the green screen behind Mortal Kombat or Spawn. It's like it's right. It's like, I mean, I think it's a little bit better than those, but at the same time, it's still not that good. I'm trying to decide.
It becomes incredibly obvious that what's happening behind them and what's happening in the foreground aren't happening in the same place. And the floating fat guy.
Oh my God.
Wait, spoiler. That's the first spoiler section.
Again, it shows in the trailers a floating fat man. And it even talks about, like, the Messiah and something about the fat man and spices. I'm like, is that what you call him? What is this, like the little bomb, the fat man that's going to hit Japan or something?
Let's go to spoilers, because apparently we have lots more to talk about from the actual movie, and not so much about our feelings that we slept through. So let's hit that spoiler section. Let's hit it hard.
Ladies and gentlemen, the spoiler section.
Okay, so my first issue with what actually happens in this movie, like, one of the biggest things as far as writing, as far as storytelling, as far as any kind of composition, is the first rule is show, don't tell.
Mm-hmm.
And what do they do for like the first 10 minutes of this movie?
Talk.
They have just exposition and telling you about everything and these planets and this political state and why this political planet is like this and this and that. I'm like, this is terrible.
And they hand you a booklet in the theater in 1984.
Right? I'm like, no, this is not how you tell a story.
Yeah.
So I as soon as that started happening, I started to get a really bad taste in my mouth about it. Now, fortunately, it led into some decent practical effects with whatever that fish-faced shrimp person.
I don't know what it was. I don't even know what its name was, but it looked pretty cool, and it looked very freaking creepy.
Yeah, my wife was not a fan of its nose mouth thing that they kept doing close-ups on.
Yeah, it's like, oh gosh, stop. And what was he spitting out? planets or was he crapping out planets? Because I kept looking, it's like, wait, is that his mouth or is that supposed to be his butt? I don't know. Showing all the plants.
Well, no, it wasn't plants. It was they were talking about it in the 10 minutes of dialogue before the movie started.
Yeah.
Which they were talking about some people becoming mutated from the use of spice over the years.
Yes.
And so they use some form of spice gas.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just breathing in and out that red gas that was in its tank with it.
Okay, so the spice is essentially a drug. That's what I'm guessing.
I guess. They don't really say...
It's like the spice is not only a drug, but it's also a means for transportation, but also a means for medicine, but also a means for everything. And I'm like, okay, what exactly does the spice really, truly do?
It's the unobtainium from the Blue People Avatar movie.
Okay. I mean, this movie, this film could have used some earthbenders and maybe some waterbenders.
No, the other Avatar movie, the James Cameron movie.
I know. I was trying to be facetious.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, maybe they could have used Ong. Ang.
I will shoot you out the airlock.
Okay, but yeah, all the different things about spice and everything else. I just wanted to know its true function. That's all. It's like, please tell me.
It does whatever the writer says it does, I guess. I don't know. It's the MacGuffin of the movie.
This movie was presented several times to the Universal Studios, and every time they kept David Lynch and the producer and everything else kept taking it. It was like, make it shorter. And David Lynch, he renounces his name. He wants his name taken off this film, but he's like, it would cost too much time and money to do that. So he's like, I'm not doing anything else with it. Like they released a 4K edition, everything else by Arrow Video. He would not...
Does it need to be 4K?
Well, believe it or not, I have obtained this because someone told me it was worth it for $25. And so you're not going to get it that cheap. And it's like, it's not that bad. It's not as bad as people talk about it. So I was like, okay, well, if it's $25 and it's like a limited edition, I can always sell it if I don't like it or whatever, which I have done before. I'll talk about that later. But I found out it's not, the movie is only in 4K. It's not 4K / Blu-ray. But it says 4K Blu-ray. The Blu-ray is only for special features. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Yeah, so that happened to me. But anyhow, yeah, they tried to get David Lynch to do a commentary, to do anything, and he wouldn't even reply back to them. So they're like, okay, fine, we're just going to do this as best as we can with whatever you gave us, because they kept making them shorter. And first, it was given to Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott, he gave it back to him and says, it's got to be a 2 movie. It's not doing this in 1 movie. And Universal like, okay, well, let's go to the next director. And they kept doing that. And it's like 3 different directors like, it's got to be a 2 movies. Like, nope, we're not doing 2 movies. We're doing 1 movie. So they kept doing it until David Lynch. And David Lynch, he didn't really care for sci-fi because he already just passed up the 3rd Star Wars film. What's it called?
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi. And George Lucas.
It was originally entitled Revenge of the Jedi.
Yes.
So
Revenge of the Jedi. And George Lucas gave him that, and David Lynch like, no, I'm not really a sci-fi person. I like a mixture of different genres, which if anybody watches David Lynch films, you could see that. He likes a mixture. He doesn't like a one genre film.
Bro, can you imagine Return of the Jedi if it was done by David Lynch, though?
It would be so trippy, and I don't think Ewoks will be the only ones singing, eating people. Yeah.
Okay. Another thing that were you done with your thought? By the way, I don't want to cut you off.
No, go ahead. No, the only thing I was going to say is that so after they kept making him cut it, he finally did the bare minimum and was like, I'm not cutting anymore. I cut as much as I could. I'm done. And the producers were upset. The writers were upset because they kept telling him to rewrite it. And it's like, I can't rewrite this. Nothing's making any sense. And according to everyone on set, they just said they were having not a very good time making this movie.
Yep. Let's see here. The other thing is that the internal dialogue being made external was driving me nuts as well. You could hear people's thoughts throughout the movie.
Mm-hmm.
That was stupid. I don't get why they did that at all.
That did not bother me so much, but they should have explained that part, because they should have explained more about these like gifts or powers that he had, which they didn't explain at all whatsoever.
Mhm.
Which I actually had a graphic novel of Dune, and I remember reading. That was the first thing I did read, and it explained more in that graphic novel about his powers and everything else than it did inside of this movie, because he was able to read other people's thoughts. And the only thing I know is that when you have the spice, or when he had the spice, it just like his telepathy powers just became increased. But again, it didn't really explain that in the film at all whatsoever.
Mm. I just and and when they showed him having the spice for the first time in this movie, it looked like he was just eating a Vienna sausage. I'm like, really? Really? That's it right there? Is he eats that little sausage and all of a sudden he becomes Magic Man?
Yeah, it did seem very impactful. It's funny how he read people's thoughts, but Professor X couldn't read people's thoughts.
Professor X. Oh, so let's talk about that for a second. Patrick Stewart is in this movie. That caught me off guard. Adam Collins, friend of the show from Tasmania, had mentioned that Patrick Stewart is in this movie and playing the wrong role. But when I had asked him as far as which role he would have placed Patrick Stewart in, he said, no, I meant he should be playing Jean-Luc Picard. And I'm like, okay. But it's an interesting thought process. Was Patrick Stewart well used in this movie?
I think they should have put him more in this film than they did. They barely had him in this movie that much. They should have had a lot more of him inside. Because I actually like Patrick Stewart and his role that he played. I just felt like it was not enough.
And if you want to see Patrick Stewart with long hair, that's in this movie.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
He has more hair in this movie than most other movies he's done. He has more hair in this movie than in all of his Star Trek television shows or movies combined.
This is true. He at the end of the movie, he was bald on top, but he had hair going down to his mid back all the way the rest around of his head, and I'm like, that's just weird.
He should have did a braid. He could find no one to braid his hair.
I'd be afraid if he braided his hair, he might look a little bit like he belonged with Khan's crew, Cy Nooney Khan's crew. I digress. So yeah, Patrick Stewart's in this. I think he was woefully underused. I think he could have made this movie a lot better if he was maybe Paul What's-His-Face's father instead of the guy they had there instead.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
he's supposed to be training the boy. And they keep talking about all their training, and like you don't see or hear anything about their training until like when it's their last time seeing each other. And he's like, okay, here's a dagger fight. And I'm like, I don't get to see or anything in your previous years, months, or anything of you training each other, or you're supposed to be training Paul. It's like, oh, that could have been a bit more. But then again, maybe that was the hour that was cut or more. Who knows?
That's the other thing I've heard about this movie is that there was a significant amount of the actual what was filmed that was cut out of this movie.
Yeah, an hours
made it make more sense.
They say an exact full hour is cut off of this film, that it will never ever come back unless David Lynch wants to return. They said there's no chance David Lynch wants to, because when David Lynch is like one of those people like, what I've done, that's it. I'm not doing anything else. I don't never look back.
Interesting. But there is one person though, I think some of even with the bits that we got, I think there's some casting issues with this movie that the movie would have been better if they would have casted different people in their spots. For instance, the Duke, no, not the Duke, the Baron, yes, the
fat man,
the fat man floating,
yeah, the fat redhead that's floating.
Oh, he drove me up the wall. I couldn't stand him.
I didn't feel like he was a villain. I thought he was having too much fun. But I was like, you are a villain, and you're supposed to be like a mass genocidal murderer.
You know who would have been great in that role? Although at the time nobody would have realized it.
Who?
Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, I mean, he would have, but he wasn't into that. He wasn't doing that just quite yet. He was into.
I mean,
he was into all the BBC murder mysteries and television shows. So it was like
he had a little foray into horror initially too. I mean, he did that movie. What's it called? Magic, where he had the dummy that came to life.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. They should have used Christopher Lee.
That would have been amazing. Oh my god.
They should have used Christopher Lee. They had their chance and opportunity.
Okay. Go ahead.
It's like that or Peter Cushing. You know, the guys from Hammer films.
Dude, you're just about to go through my entire Mount Rushmore of horror. You've already named 2 of them off already.
I mean, they still obviously wanted a British actor, so that would scratch off Vincent Price, because I would use Vincent Price, but
that was the 3rd guy on Mount Rushmore. Can you figure out the 4th Mount Rushmore guy?
Peter Lorre.
No,
Peter Lorre would have done so much better than this guy.
Peter Lorre would have been amazing in that role. I would agree with that. But no, my 4th guy on my Mount Rushmore of horror was Boris Karloff.
Wasn't he already died? Didn't he?
Could have been. But
okay. No, I was thinking of someone else. I had it right there in my mind. Michael Crap. He played in so much Hammer films. He also played in the Tim Burton film, which Tim Burton used all the Hammer actors. Oh, anyways, it'll come to me when it does.
But actually, given that it was 1984, if they were looking for a rotund gentleman to play that role, who could get a little bit manic, and never got a chance to stretch his legs in a serious role, I might add, John Candy. Yeah.
Well, he does play. He plays his comedy sometimes serious, but he never fell under the trope of always a fat man joke, which is always great about John Candy. John Candy will do a fat joke every once in a while. He's like, "Hey, have you seen me for a bit? Looks like I haven't been going. Looks like I don't do that kind of work," and that's it. So he was always but when he did serious roles or he tried to play serious, you could see in his face, like, dude, this guy, he just needed more than his comedy. But it's just what happened.
I honestly think that if they would have got him in there, he could have probably stretched his legs out a little bit.
Yeah.
But at the time though, he was kind of a superstar.
Oh yes, he was.
So maybe,
just this Barry.
Just based.
I'm trying. It's just starting to get me more upset. I shouldn't be, but it's just like he just looked like he was not the villain I wanted. Like even the other 2 that came in, Sting, who didn't said anything until the end of the freaking movie. Sting didn't said a single idle thing. He just went, ha ha ha. It's like, okay, am I supposed to be like fearing of you, or am I supposed to be like amused that you just get the big pearly white teeth or something? Because he smiled and evil laughed the entire time.
You were supposed to swoon over him when he came out in his Wonder Woman underwear.
Oh my lord. Look, he was already waxed before he went inside there. Like took every bit of hair off his chest and his other areas, and he's right there with his with that plastic Wonder Woman underwear. Yeah, seen that? And it's like he just greased down whatever 6-pack he had, just flaunted left and right. Just looked up. It's like, oh my goodness! I guess you are mute. At least sing me a song.
Roxanne. Here's the thing about Sting in this movie. It was complete stunt casting.
Yeah.
Because in 1984, the Police were like the biggest band in the world.
Every teenage girl was probably like, "Let me just show me his body and I'll be good."
Yeah. So I mean, he was complete stunt casting. The other guy who was a part of the whatever planet, the other fat redheaded guy.
Yeah, who again, they never said nothing but just ate food, just slabbered everywhere, spit his food out. I'm like,
they had several characters that could have been done so much better. And I get that it was all cut down, but the fact of it is that, the source material. They refused to cut the material into 2 movies. So, it's like, what are you going to do? I mean, how good of a movie are you going to be able to really put out if you can't explain everything?
Yeah.
Or if your way of explaining everything is to have 10 minutes of dialogue at the beginning of the movie on top of handing people pamphlets to understand your movie.
Another actor, Max von Sydow.
Oh yeah, the Exorcist guy.
Fantastic actor. Barely anything inside. They didn't. It's just like all these actors and actresses. The dwarf lady. What was her name? Was she on the that Poltergeist movie?
She was the principal. No, that was not Zelda Rubinstein.
No, that was someone else. But
it was the lady who played the principal in Kindergarten Cop. That was what my wife.
Linda what?
Yesterday. I don't remember her last name.
Linda Hunt.
I don't know.
Another great actress. Barely in the movie.
I know, as soon as she popped in, and they introduced her in such a way where it seemed like she was going to become a big part of the story. But she popped in for one scene. She said like 3 lines, and then they showed her die in the next scene. And it's just like,
that's another thing.
Okay,
I guess I never watched Game of Thrones, but from everyone told me it's very Game of Thrones like, and I can understand that. I understand when characters and people die, and they die a tragic death, or they die a hero's death, or something of the sort. But when you want to at least care about the people who are dying, like I was saying at the very beginning of this episode, you want to at least care and just like, I guess, have that heartbreak moment or something, some sort of compassion, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you just killed that person off. I could felt for this person. You could felt nothing for any of these people. It's like, here, come here, say these 3 lines, maybe 4, and we'll put you at the end of whatever scene and die. Now, so many of these actors and actresses, as characters, it's like, here's a little scene, here's a little scene. We're all rooting for this Messiah that's supposed to save the world from, I don't know what anymore now. Spice. No one else could touch Spice but him. And everyone else could just die.
Yeah.
And then when he meets the girl that he's supposed to have dreams of, which you barely see her in his dreams. That was the thing. I think I've seen her like 2 or 3 times. I kept forgetting about her because when the dream sequence has, it goes full on David Lynch, where it has all the twisted, weird imagery, everything happening, the spirals and everything else. Like, okay, this is the David Lynch I know. Come on, keep this up. And all of a sudden it goes right back to being a normal type of whatever film, 80s film. And when it has that awesome score that plays by Toto, I'm like, okay, this is one good thing that I very much enjoy about the film. And then all of a sudden at the end, it's like, I've loved you all my life. Like, who are you again? I don't know who you are.
Well, the best part is when he said that, she had just pulled a knife on him like 5 minutes earlier in the movie. So, I mean, it's just like, okay, this feels forced.
That's what I need to do. I need to find a woman who puts a knife in my throat. And I was like, I've loved you all my life. Please don't kill me. I don't know.
Dude, okay, so I think that's the best way that I could say this movie, how this movie felt to me. The whole thing just felt forced.
Yeah. Now
it reminded me of a big dump you have to take, but it won't happen, and so you're just sitting there and you just force it, and it's painful for everybody involved. And
dude, you've got some issues. Do you need to like take some Beano or have a prostate exam or something?
I don't know.
Go see a doctor. That can be serious. Eat some fiber greens.
Anyway, the analogy remains. But some little, I can't call them Easter eggs because it's all stuff after the fact, but some things that I noticed was there are certain references in the music scene that I'm a part of that came from this movie. And I had mentioned some of them to you guys when I was watching it. The band Shai Hulud. There's a metal band called Shai Hulud that got their name from this movie.
Okay.
Because that's what they kept calling the big sandworm that he had to ride. And then he kept having the drink when he was after he drank the water of life and started tripping.
Yeah,
he kept seeing that picture of that hand in the blackness reaching up with the 5 fingers out. Like that's the cover of the first System of a Down album.
Really? Okay. See, I don't listen to that music, so I wouldn't know. That's
Yeah.
interesting. When he did those edit scenes, that was pretty trippy, right?
Yeah,
Like was it tearing? Was it
useless,
supposed to be like tearing and burning the page away at the same time? Well, from one scene to the next. I don't know what that was. Do you know what that was? That was a
No.
weird transition.
It was David Lynch being David Lynch.
Yeah.
Is all that was. It was him going, I don't like this movie, but I'm just gonna sprinkle this weirdness on it because it can't make it any worse.
I can't swipe. I can't do everything else everyone else does. Let me do my own transition. This will make it look like the paper is being ripped and burned at the same time. I'm like, okay, that's happened so fast.
Maybe he was kind of subliminally trying to say something about the movie.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
so
this is what I got from the movie. Okay, I did love the set pieces. There was like 50 different set pieces, 80 different set pieces, and when they filmed on the sets, it looked awesome. I would say that.
Okay.
In my opinion, I think it looked awesome. I got a lot of things that I still didn't understood. A lot about House of Atreides, about different planets that I can't remember their names. Arrakis, I do remember that one. And then there was something else with the sea. I can't remember. Sandworms, spice, and everything not nice.
Yeah, the part at the end where he's like, the sandworms are the spice. I'm like, that makes no sense.
I didn't understood that. Like, okay, are they concentrating all the spice? Like, are they like eating the spice and then they become one with the spice, like the Force? I don't.
Or maybe, and this will go back to a conversation Dallas and I were having when I was visiting in Shreveport. When I was in Shreveport, we were talking about that special type of coffee that is only produced in certain South American countries.
Craps out the spice.
Where it's the lemurs that eat the coffee beans and it craps out the coffee beans and then it's processed into coffee. Like maybe that's how the spice is. Maybe it's the sandworm feces and you're just kind of sifting through their cat box.
Okay, so this movie eats its own crap and presents crap.
It's the movie. It's the prequel to the Human Centipede.
I have never watched it. I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Yeah,
but I know what it's about, and that's all.
Yeah, everyone already knows what it's about.
Well, I think we've.
Yeah, David Lynch was overwhelmed in this. He had to be, because look, he made what he made. Eraserhead, which like blew every film school student mind of how great it was, which I still don't think it's that great, but everyone else could talk about how great it is. I have a friend of mine who's like, it's his favorite movie. He looks at it as a comedy, a dark comedy. Okay. But it was a success. Then he made another film, which was Elephant Man. Again, these are like small budget films. And they turn around and they say, okay, now let's make a humongous blockbuster hit. It's like, whoa, you just went from just like a few $1 million to now, what I said earlier, a $40 million. That could be feeling overwhelmed. And you have sets that you've never saw. You have actors, like loads of actors and actresses that you never had. So had to be overwhelming for him.
Well, not only that, but I mean, you mentioned it earlier, and you could totally feel that in this movie, nobody enjoyed making this movie.
No,
it felt joyless completely.
The ones who had the most fun making this in this movie, which I watched on the special features of the Blu-ray, was Toto. When David Lynch went behind the music side and started talking to the guys of Toto and talked about how much he loved their music and how they couldn't have a better name for their band and everything else, they all had fun. And David Lynch was back there playing music with them, and they were taking some bits and pieces of whatever he was playing, and they started, playing with the synthesizer. They all had fun, but everyone else, I guess they just like, hey, we're doing it, we're making it, fine.
Yeah, and you can feel that throughout the whole movie. So
did you still understand what the Fat Man was about, other than him trying to rule things and gather all the spice? I think that's all his main attempt was: rule everyone, gather all the spice.
What's frustrating about you saying that is that's basically the depth of every character in this movie. They don't feel like real people. They just feel like they're there to serve a plot function, and that's it.
Yeah.
I don't get the fat guy. I don't get the heart plugs that they had in.
I didn't understand it either. He pulled it out. So much blood was pouring out. I was like, whoa, this is pushing that PG-13 envelope really hard.
right? And I couldn't understand. Was he drinking the guy's blood? Was he? I don't understand what he's doing here.
Yeah.
I don't understand the purpose of this other than, and then they made that guy milk a cat that had a rat taped to it.
Yeah, like, what? Huh? What's this?
It was just
The
so
black-
random, and
The black liquid that's pouring over him, he was like, he loved the black liquid, but okay, what was the black liquid? What is this that's spraying over you? Is that spice extract? I don't know. I'm guessing. That's all I could guess. I could be wrong. I just didn't know.
I don't know. And then he's just sitting there having his boils lanced while he's having this conversation, which was lovely.
Yeah.
And
Nothing lovelier than, if you're like one of those freaks likes to watch up YouTube videos and watch people poke each other's pus pumps. I'm like, okay, I don't want to see this.
right.
Yeah, there was so many things that just happened. I mean, there was things that was pretty to look at. Like, I love looking at the desert. I like the scenery of that. I like looking at the sets. I like the different costumes. Some, not all costumes. Some of the costumes, okay, look pretty cool. But while it may look pretty on some things, and there were certain things with the green screen it was not pretty on. Are we at the part where we need to now rate the film what we thought? Because it's just,
yeah, I was gonna push it there, but I was letting you get it all off your chest before we did it.
yeah, it's just like there's so much of I don't know. At the same time, I try to watch it again to see what I gather, and I still got the same I don't know. Like, just one more time, I was like, I gotta see this one more time just to see what I could fulfill the I don't know and see if that anything answered anything that I missed. I still have the same thing, the same I don't know.
All right. So with that being said, then, Kevin, on our rating system, that if you don't know our rating system, going back and listen to older episodes. I don't feel like explaining it right now. How would you rate this movie based on our rating system?
I'm so much trying to decide if I want to put this in the middle shelf or if I want to put this on the bottom shelf.
It's so funny that you say that, because I am in the same conundrum
because
right here.
It has the looks and the appeal and everything, intriguing enough that I want to see it again. And along with the score, along with some of the imagery, which I like movies that when they get a little odd and weird, which is fine by me. I just don't want to see someone's pimples get pursed. I just don't want to see that. But other things, I like the costumes, but and I want to know more about it. It feels like I want to know more, but I'm not going to get any more because that's all there is. And it's not bad, like, oh my god, even though I dozed off once, maybe I was super tired. But when I rewatched it, I watched it through. And I could see all the effort and everything they try to do, but at the same time, when they try to do, they just kind of gave up because they just consistently got the backhand by Universal Studios at the time. I guess I'll put it on the bottom shelf.
You're gonna put it on the bottom shelf?
I it's like if I could just fit between the middle and the bottom, but I mean, there's other films like with me. When I told you, like, Planet Life in Outer Space, I can grab that movie almost all the time and just watch it over again. This movie, I don't think I can grab as many times to watch over again. I'll just watch it to put it on mute and appreciate the scenery and everything that it did shot, but not to listen, except for the score.
We'll put, you know how when you stack movies on, with the spine showing towards you, and there's usually like about a 3-inch gap between it and the next shelf up.
You're talking about the movies that you're looking at right now? I'm right behind me.
Right, but
Okay.
the listeners can't see that.
Use your imagination.
At any rate, but you know what I'm talking about, though. You spine out, and then there's the gap between the top of the movies and the shelf above it. Where I would stick this movie on the bottom shelf, but sitting in that gap between the middle shelf and the other movies that are sitting on the bottom shelf. Like, I would give this a high bottom shelf.
Okay, yeah, just a little bit higher up at the bottom, just not the very bare bottom.
Right. Like it's better than most bottom shelf movies, but it
Oh my
belongs on the
goodness!
bottom
Yes.
shelf. It definitely does not belong in the dumpster fire though. Like if I was to put this up against Avatar,
What movie?
then sorry, The Last Airbender.
I thought that was burnt. So why we're talking about it?
Jeez. All right, well, let's go ahead and head on over to our week connection section, brought to you by Ben Avery from the Strangers and Aliens podcast, and see if we can suss out any spiritual anything from this movie.
Oh, one quick thing.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a tagline you had that you didn't read? Or wasn't there supposed to be some taglines?
Oh, the warning labels.
Yeah, wasn't there warning labels?
Let me go ahead and pull that up. There were warning labels on this box. I forgot all about those. We just opened it up and threw it in.
Yeah, so excited.
Chances are I probably am gonna like have like headaches and diarrhea and nausea now.
You should get some vitamins. Seriously, man.
No, I was making a joke
spinach.
about
maybe it's too much spice.
So spicy. That's a warning for this movie right there. Is constant warning. This movie is incredibly filled with spice. Consume at your own risk.
Just don't do like the spoon cinnamon challenge.
This. Okay, so several warning labels that are on this.
Several. Ooh.
Warning: this film may contain sand. It's rough, coarse, irritating, and gets everywhere.
Not recommended for Anakin Skywalker,
huh? Warning: this movie has a sting to it. Whatever, dude.
Sounds like a dad made that joke.
I'm not a dad.
Oh.
Warning: this film is terrible, but blame goes to the studio, not David Lynch.
True. We just talked about that.
Warning: this film is about milking cats because David Lynch. All right, let's go ahead and go to the let's go to the weak connection section now, shall we?
Yes, let's go there.
This is a weak connection.
All right, weak connections. I'm not going to pull out a specific Bible verse this episode because I've already stated earlier on, this whole entire movie to me feels like the book of Exodus set in outer space, with some sort of charismatic spiritual leader leading an entire population to freedom based off of ancient prophecy. So this movie reeks of it. Still would recommend the Charlton Heston movie over this movie, though.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So what do you have a weak connection for this movie, Kevin?
You know, it's hard because I mean, as much as it's like there's so much allegories and so much is built on religion. It was hard for me to find one, except for one thing the character Paul would say, and he would say like the fear is the mind killer. Man, I forgot to talk about the box scene. Anyhow, because he kept talking about and he kept repeating that in his mind, and I'm thinking about in 2 Timothy 1 verse 7 on the King James version says, "For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." And that everything that we should do, we should realize that what God has given us is of the spirit of power, the spirit of love, and of a sound mind of whatever adversary that faces in our way. And no matter how tough situations may be, even if you're fighting for spice, that you don't have the spirit of fear. You should not fear, because fear will destroy your mind, body, and soul.
Well, there you go. Kevin whipped out a better weak connections than I did. So
yeah, and that's the first time I think I've actually came up with a weak connection, isn't it?
Hey, you
possibly
know, you came in the clutch, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Did you see, this is a little off topic, but did you see that Spice World poster someone posted on the bottom shelf thread
Not
that we
yet.
made for this?
Does it?
So,
Wait. I know I did a lot for my movie page for like with the Joey character, like how you doing?
yeah.
And then I think I did one with the Spice Girls, and I was like, "There's no spice here."
Oh no! Someone made a movie poster that said Spice World, and it showed a sandworm in the background and the Spice Girls up front.
Oh, I gotta see that one. No, I haven't.
Um,
That's all that thought in my mind. I've never. Okay, I didn't grow up with the television and everything else during the 90s, but I know it's a big thing. And people are like, "Man, you must know one of the Spice Girls." Like, what is that even supposed to mean? What's from your country? It's like, I doubt any of them were from Ireland. I think all of them were from England, right?
I think a lot of people associate Ireland with England.
Yeah,
so.
which it's not. But anyhow,
Isn't some part of Ireland like
that's Northern Ireland. That's not the
Right.
Republic of Ireland.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to make anybody from the IRA angry out there. I'm ignorant and I don't know, so that's why I ask questions.
No, that's fine. It's just that it's like one of those things that ever since became a country, they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll become part of the Republic." It's like just all you gotta do is just scratch them off. You scratch them off. Just join us. Just join the whole big country of Ireland. Stop trying to separate yourself. Anyways, with the Spice Girls, yeah.
So next episode that's going to be coming at everybody out there is going to be Mars Attacks. It's Kevin's favorite movie. He loves it so much he's going to give it a glowing review.
Oh yeah, spectacular.
So that'll be something for you to look forward to. We have fulfilled the ransom note on this, so I'm assuming Dallas is going to be back for that episode as well.
Is he now?
Hopefully, because I don't know that I can drive this ship by myself for too long.
Well, he looks like you need help from Glix.
No, I would sooner drive into a planet and ride a sandworm than get help from Glix.
Told you, stay away from that spice.
Hey, I'll eat a Vienna sausage. It's fine.
Your eyes could could use some more blue.
Anyway, yeah, I wasn't even going to go there with that with this conversation. That was the dumbest thing. At any rate, Kevin, where can people find you on the interwebs?
If you wish to find me on the interwebs, if you desire to, you can find me on Facebook on the Dapper Man or the Dapper Man Reviews, because I think you type in the Dapper Man, it shows you different others. So the Dapper Man Reviews. You can do also the same thing on YouTube and Instagram if I am there.
All right. And you can find me on Playing Games with Strangers, Supersonic Pod Comics, of course, The Bottom Shelf, as well as Primitive Rhythm Machine, as well as my band, Mezzanine, all on the social medias. Find links in the episode descriptions. And of course, Dallas, who is not here, you can find him on the Geek Devotions on YouTube, as well as Com Talk in the podcasting section as well. Links, please see links below. Am I missing anything, Mr. Burnham?
Mezzanine with Listerine on kerosene.
All right. So with that being said, thanks everybody for listening. Hope you had a good time. Interact with us on the socials. That tunes us in. If you like what you heard, please like, subscribe, rate, review, all that sort of stuff. And because we are a part of the Geek Devotions Network, our primary goal is to let everybody know that they are loved. And if you take nothing else from this episode, please understand that you are loved. You do have a purpose.
And fear is the mind killer.
Fear is a mind killer, ladies and gentlemen. And sandworms are the spice, and spice are the sandworms.